This vlog is one that could be somewhat touchy, and I'm sure that there are those that may disagree with it, but it's my vlog, and I think that for those that may disagree with what I'm saying, that we can find a common ground to agree to disagree. Having said that, this vlog is pretty much about age, being young and gifted. I find in the music industry and even in sports that the younger a player, be it musician or athlete, the younger they are, the greater they are. However, I really think that we should not be so quick to credit young and gifted with the kudos of being greater. I think that it's an awesome thing to be young and gifted. Even those that are older, at one point they were young and gifted. And the point that I'm making, I've made this point to some young musicians who are now older, and I think they see my point now because there are younger musicians, there are younger athletes that's coming along who seemingly are stealing their thunder. Well, I don't think anyone could really steal your thunder. However, I do think that being young does not necessarily qualify you instantaneously for greatness. There is some progress principles that I think that we need to obtain to make us eligible to be considered great. But I hear, like, well, dude is only 18, only 19, only 20. Trust me, in no way am I hating on anybody, nor do I want to discourage anybody. All I'm saying is we need to keep things in the proper perspective. Young, the one thing that is missing is experience. But there are players that's in the game, be it in the music game or the sports game, that may not be 18, 19, or 20, but yet they have the experience. I'll use for an example, Kobe Bryant, when he first came into the league, he was just, overrated word, beast. He was a beast when he came in, but he did some young, inexperienced things, and those that were older, such as Magic Johnson, may have tried to teach him. But an older guy by the name of Michael Jordan showed him. Kobe would drive to the hole with all 5 players of the other team on him. Whether he would hit sometime or not, it's not wise. But when you have talent at such a young age, I understand how proud you can be, how happy you are, and I'm happy for you. But it does not take the place. Talent does not take the place of experience. And there's some things that young athletes, young musicians must learn. They have to be in the game for a while to experience some things. The problem is nobody wants to sit the bench today. Nobody wants to earn their way to the court, because you have to look at the different levels of what you've earned. If you've earned your way on the court in high school, that's one thing. It may not be that way in college. If you've earned your way on the court in college, that's one thing. It may not be that way in the pros if you make it to the pros. So there's some experiences that we must obtain before we can just label our own selves great. It could be preachers. I'm only 8 years old as a preacher, and there are some who started at a much younger age than I did. I'm sure that they made some mistakes, but I'm still making some mistakes they already made. So it's not about age, it's about experience. And then we have to understand the difference between talent and gifted. When God blesses us with a gift, that's just a supernatural, divine situation. And you're going to be great even without trying, because it's just favor of the Lord. However, some things we have to really work for. Some things we have to learn. I'll show you a lot of young-minded musicians, young-minded athletes. They're so caught up in impressing their peers or everyone around them. But it's not about impressing. It's about leaving a better impression. And we have to use wisdom. And the hardest thing for a young-minded player to do is to have discipline, not to do some of the things they should not do, yet they want to do them. I'll show you this point, this little story. There was a great producer, let's just call him Quincy. And then there was a young drummer and there was a older drummer. Not old, but just older drummer. So both of them needed to audition for this great record producer. And so the young drummer sat down and the producer, we'll just remember call him Quincy. And he said, okay, well, show me what you know. Drummer got down and he was like, okay. The producer, let's just call him Quincy. When the young drummer finished playing, Quincy said, wow, you are awesome. And he says, okay, well, next. The older drummer sat down. Quincy says, show me what you know. Older drummer got down, got his posture, and he just began to play. Warmed up in that situation, you know. But for the most part, he knew what home was. He kept that pocket. When he finished, the award-winning producer, we'll just call him Quincy, he told the first drummer, he said, wow, you're awesome. But he told this drummer, he says, wow, you're hired. The moral to the story is, Quincy said, show me what you know, not what you can do. And oftentimes, we show people what we can do when it's not conducive for the setting in which we're on. We need to do what's best for the song. In sports, do what's best for the situation. You gotta look at the scheme of things. You gotta know when to drive to the hole. You gotta know when to shoot the three-pointer. You gotta know when to pass the ball. You gotta know when to hold the ball. Musicians, you gotta know, man, you know, you don't play that first verse all crazy while the lead is trying to sing. and your riffs is clashing with the melody that should be featured. We gotta be wise. It's not about your chops, it's about your intellect. So young, I'm with it, but sometimes we gotta grow, and we have to grow with understanding the principles for progress. This is just Ferris Evans Jr. with your young and gifted service announcement.